The World Cup party has already started here in Paris. France in their first ever final against the holders Brazil. Glenn Hoddle, Ruud Gullit and Terry Venables are ITV's team for the final. Our programme kicks off at 7:45. But now it's time to join Jim Rosenthal for the British Grand Prix live from Silverstone.
The British summer of '98 hits Silverstone. Home drivers are poised to make a splash. Damon Hill's roared on by people power. Eddie Irvine's eyeing the podium again. David Coulthard starts on the second row. Johnny Herbert's in the top 10. He's won before. Well, they've been converging on Silverstone in rural Northamptonshire since dawn. Never mind the weather, it's the RAC British Grand Prix. Hello once again. Well, just over an hour to go till the start of the British Grand Prix. If you're with us earlier, you'll know the weather here is pretty vile. It's not actually raining at the moment, but there's a real wind howling around the circuit. I'm joined by a man who's won races in all conditions, Sterling Moss. Hi, Sterling. Twice winner of the British Grand Prix. Would you fancy driving in this today?
I would actually, yes. Not in one of these cars, I'd be frightened to death, but in the cars I drove, yes, I would. It's going to be very interesting because I don't think it's necessarily going to rain that hard. It might be a dry track and wet-looking weather. Be interesting.
Tony Jardine, your thoughts on conditions?
Well, they could be atrocious. They're talking about another downpour just before the start, Sterling. So we're just thinking of the analogy that David Coulthard made about driving down the third lane of the motorway in all the rain. Try turning your wipers off and wait for parts of your anatomy to tell you that they're scared. So, and that's what they're getting from the open wheeler. Well, you know best.
Well, no, what I do know is the road shines. So you try and stay on the shiny bit. The grass doesn't shine, so you stay on the shiny bit. So just,
I tell you, a few of them could be slipping off the shiny bit, I think, this afternoon anyway. Right, well, of course, with an hour to go, we have an extended build-up for you. Some terrific things coming up in the next hour, including Murray Walker and Martin Brundle driving in that two-seater McLaren around Silverstone, and our Murray enjoying every second of it. Okay, that's coming up for you before the off of the British Grand Prix. Well, yesterday the rain held off in qualifying. The big two battled it out. Michael Schumacher and Mika Hakkinen really battling it out in that qualifying session. It was actually Michael Schumacher who got the most out of the Ferrari, but finished second best to Hakkinen in the end.
Qualifying began with the threat of rain in the air, but nothing was going to dampen the day for a capacity crowd who came to cheer on the Brits. It's been a while since Jacques Villeneuve was out in front, but the Canadian has got the spring back in his step this weekend, and he leapt straight into pole. Heinz-Harald Frentzen put everything into his first flying lap, and duly took the top slot from his teammate to confirm the Williams rejuvenation, and all the while Frank looked on impassively. It didn't last long though. Michael Schumacher's opening shot was over a second quicker than the Williams pair.
Yes! 1.2 seconds faster. Michael Schumacher has thrown down the gauntlet with a resounding clang.
It was thrown straight back at him. Mika Hakkinen answered the challenge with a stunning time to bump Michael down to second. Meanwhile, the battle for third continued, and Eddie Irvine was right in the thick of it. Then, with just under half the session completed, Hakkinen bettered his own previous best.
0.6 of a second. 1:23.2.
In total contrast, David Coulthard was having a nightmare at his home Grand Prix. No matter what he tried, he just couldn't match Mika's speed. Damon Hill was relatively happy with 7th place, but there was bad news for Ralf Schumacher. He was relegated to the back of the grid after scrutineering checks revealed a technical infringement. It was exactly the same story for Olivier Panis. He'll start alongside Ralf. Sauber were quietly getting on with the business. Johnny Herbert wound up a promising 9th. Alexander Wirtz was on the rostrum here last year in only his 3rd Grand Prix, but he'll struggle to repeat that performance from 11th on the grid. There was a final flurry of activity as the field eyed that vacant 3rd slot. Jacques Villeneuve staked his claim, and then David Coulthard made a last-ditch effort, but he failed to beat the Canadian's time. As the session ended, Michael Schumacher came back onto the track for a final run at pole. He was fastest in the first sector, but then he blew it at Abbey. So it was thumbs up to Mika Häkkinen for his 6th pole of the season.
Yeah, it's very disappointing. I was, probably the most disappointed I've been this year, actually getting out of the car, even comparing to some of the races where I've dropped out when I've been leading. But I really wanted to get a good qualifying here to set myself up for hopefully a win, but it makes it more difficult when you're in the second row.
I'm not extremely happy about it, but to get in pole and have nearly half a second different for the second guy, it's pretty cool.
Very, very close on your last run.
Yes, that's true. And if you look Magny-Cours, we were 2 tenths behind here. It could have been probably about 1 or 2 tenths. So end of the day, that's what makes us feeling in a good shape.
So it's a track that that in the past suited me, and it's also a track that suited the car. And the new modification we've had for this race would actually work very well on this track.
We've done well. We're looking stronger now than we were a few races back. So I'm very, very pleased with the performance of the team and Honda and everyone. So we just have to keep pushing.
And so the grid. Häkkinen on pole again in the McLaren. Michael Schumacher nearly half a second behind alongside him. Villeneuve 3rd, that's his best of the season. Coulthard 4th. Irvine well placed alongside Heinz-Harald Frentzen. Then Damon Hill and Jean Alesi. Johnny Herbert in the top 10 alongside Fissy Keller. Alexander Wirtz on the podium last year with Diniz. Mika Salo in the Arrows and Jarno Trulli. Then the Stewarts, Verstappen and Barrichello, followed by Takagi in the Tyrrell and Tuero in the Minardi. Nakano in the second Minardi and Rosset, and relegated to the back because of technical infringements, Ralf Schumacher and Olivier Panis. OK, now let's take you for a flying lap, literally, around Silverstone. Martin Brundle has been taking a little lift in Eddie Irvine's helicopter.
So tell us about a lap at the circuit, Eddie. Do you like this racetrack?
I don't like it as much as the original. It's a bit artificial in a way, but it's very demanding. This first corner is just unbelievable. It's so fast. Just brush the brake really and keep hard on the power at the same time to try and stabilize the rear end, and then as you say, the exit's blind. You don't know how much room you've got on the exit, so you got to just hope that you've judged it right, because it's just you've got to anticipate how much room you've got. You can't actually visually see it.
So that was Cox, and now we're into Beckett.
Just hard on the power through the first one. I really don't see us lifting for that. Then brake for this second one, but try not to brake too much. It's so easy to brake too much for that corner. You got to really try and keep the momentum all the way to this second.
The last part of Beckett.
The last part of it, to be honest. You got to really, that was where Mike was so quick last year. He actually went slower the whole way through it. There was no point where he accelerated. It was just
kept him
gradually decelerating the whole way through the corner.
Okay, then down Hanger Straight, what, 17,000 RPM or something in the top?
Well, in around there.
Stoke corner.
Brake as late as possible, because it is still quite a big brake. And then you got to watch really, there's a big bump on the exit. Normally you pick up understeer, and if you got a bit too much understeer, you lose the front because of the bump. Yeah. And if your car's neutral, you lose the rear because of the bump. Then a big heavy brake into this very slow left-hander, and then hard on the power, little squirt, and then back round to the right.
Yeah, you always have to get out of it a little bit in the middle of club, don't you, for some reason, whichever car you're in.
Yeah, you just always pick up understeer. There's very few times you come out of there and you're looking after the rear end, except when your tyres are gone and you're much further out of the corner.
So a little run uphill then towards the Abbey chicane.
And then today this was actually very difficult because the wind was up your tail a bit, and it just transforms the car. Here in the test, the wind was on your nose, you couldn't brake late enough.
Yeah.
You know, today you couldn't brake early enough, always turning in, losing the rear.
Yeah, bridge corner's a challenge.
Flat. No
Absolutely
problem,
flat out, yeah. Pedal
No
to the
problem,
metal,
flat.
no second jumps. Just go for it, yeah.
Yep, and then here, this is actually a difficult corner now.
Priory, it's
because
fast, isn't it?
It's blind again, and it's very easy to overstop the car.
Yeah.
You know, and then also you pick up understeer on the exit.
Yeah. So then Brooklands, a bit slow in here, isn't it?
Slow, but a lot better than it used to be. You
Yeah.
know, it's a good corner, and this last corner actually is sort of my favourite, to be honest.
It's quite a challenge to get the
Yeah.
car right and just get exactly the right line, not get on the power too early, I guess.
Exactly, and you know, there is lines around it which can really get you time, and that corner is amazing. Like that corner last year, I really murdered Michael around there,
Yeah.
and he copied me in the race, and
So-
we've seen the effect.
Woodcote's easy flat into a new lap.
That's it.
Now then, Sterling, the British Racing Drivers Club have made this circuit just about the best in the world. It's changed a bit, though, hasn't it?
It's, I think it's beautiful, but it's boring. Well, not boring, but I mean, there are no fast corners. I mean, it used to be, you know, on this one, when you come through Abbey Curve, boy, you knew you were going. And, you know, it was really quite, and round the one near where we are, Woodcote as well, that was fantastic. I mean, it really was one of the most difficult of its type.
It's amazing you should say that, Tony, because Tony, the modern drivers, they say they like this place because of the fast corners.
I know, when you think about the transition from the place from 48 with oil drums and bits of string and up and down the runway, it's a massive change. There's a tremendous surface out there which gives them grip. But one thing I would say is that after 94, after Senna was killed, this place was sanitised. And then they actually made changes twice over to bring it back and make the corner slightly faster again. That's why the drivers love it. It's given them something back. So you imagine how bad it was before that. But through Copse there, you can literally see the G. They're going through there about 150. That's the best one for me.
Yeah, probably is, because that's a really difficult one, isn't it?
But the other thing is you could see you'd be sort of hanging out like this, and
Yeah,
you could see everything you're doing. We can't really see what the current guys are doing. You can just see their heads bobbing around.
If we can look back at that first Grand Prix staged here in 1948, the first post-war Grand Prix, crikey, Sterling, it has changed a bit.
That was the first one. That was 48 Sterling. Remember then?
I was here then.
Were you there?
With a 500cc car, yes, not in the Formula 1, Formula 3.
And here's you at Aintree.
Yeah,
Look,
yes.
there you are.
That's not the car I raced, I want you to know. That was a Healy for us to be shown off to the people. Yeah, there's the race.
And that was, I think that was a 1, 2, 3, 4 for Mercedes. And you actually beat Fangio that day. Wasn't that your first ever World Championship win?
It was, and I don't even to this day know if Fangio let me win or not. I mean, I know he didn't let me win from the last corner, boy, because I put my foot flat on the floor, pulled over and waved him past, knowing he couldn't do a damn thing. But whether he allowed me to get into that position, or I don't know, because when I asked him, he said, no, it was your day, you were on form, and so I just don't know. He was such a gentleman.
But those cars were glorious, and I've seen you drive that car since. That Mercedes, beautiful. Fantastic.
Good, Tony Sterling, thank you very much indeed. Let's pop down and have a word with Louise Goodman, shall we? I think she's got an engaged couple with her. Go on, Louise.
Thanks, Jim. Emma, you're becoming quite a regular at the Grand Prix now. Are you just here for work, or do you enjoy the races too?
I'm here for work, but I love the racing, so, you know, what could you ask for? You know, what more could you ask for?
Which team are you cheering for?
Jordan, of course.
Why Jordan?
I think that, Jordan, obviously, because I work with Jordan, but, I love Eddie, and I just love the whole team. Everybody works for each other, and it's just a brilliant team to be involved with.
Well, you brought your man along with you this weekend as well. James, we haven't seen you at a race before. Welcome to Silverstone.
Thank you. It's the first time here, and so far it's been a good day.
What have you seen so far?
The Paddock Club. That's been about it so far.
Yeah, we've only just got down here, so hopefully we're going to meet Eddie, and yeah, it'd be great.
Well, enjoy your day. Thanks for talking to us.
Thank you.
Jordan fan Emma Noble and James Major. Well, despite the weather here, this place is a total sellout. Well over 200,000 spectators have been here over the last 4 days. The last ticket for today, in fact, was sold back in January, but you stay where you are. You've got the best seat on the circuit. The Red Arrows over Silverstone, a magnificent sight on British Grand Prix Day. The race is due off in round about 45 minutes time. Spectacular show, and the crowd here deserve everything that they're getting this afternoon, because it really is a miserable old day, but it could make the race itself very interesting. Okay, now the realisation of a dream for Murray Walker. This time Murray isn't commentating, He's in the revolutionary two-seater McLaren with Martin Brundle.
I've been to Silverstone more times than I can remember, but this was a different feeling altogether. This wasn't just another car being prepared in a garage. This one was for me, and it was with a mixture of excitement and apprehension that I got ready to ride behind Martin.
Sitting there, you don't really know what to expect, and suddenly you get this hammer blow in the back. And I thought, my gosh, if it's like this in the pit lane, what's it going to be like when we actually get on the track?
Just going out of the pit lane now and joining the track. Down in the fourth, looking for the left of Beckett. Over the curb a little bit. Turns in nicely and hard on the gas now. Into Hanger Straight. Fifth gear already. Sixth gear under the bridge.
I was trying to tell him what was going on and what I was feeling, because the car was sliding a lot, especially in the early laps, so I was trying to fill him in on that.
Tyres are not fully up to temperature yet. And then over the top of the hill into club.
When we hit the brakes, he would feel the energy.
I was going right forwards into that bar that's in front of me, notwithstanding the fact that the straps were done up so tightly.
He said he wasn't going to say much because he was a bit nervous he'd put me off and we'd fly off the road or something.
The fact that my hands were out in the open gave me some sort of reassurance. I don't think it would have done me much good, but it did reassure me.
Back end sliding. There we go. Yeehaw! Full speed, full throttle, over the start-finish line, sixth gear, up to about 180. A little bit of understeer there through snow, through cobs rather, heading towards Beckett. Stay on the gas. Down 2 gears, yeah, in we go. Down another gear, over the curb. Squirt the throttle between the two, exit of Beckett.
So top speed would be in 2 places. One coming into Copse, the first corner, where we'd be just under 190 miles an hour. Pretty much the same speed going into Stowe down at the end of Hanger Straight.
We're going to go really, really deep into Stowe. On the brakes, down 2 gears. Fourth, fifth. Spinning it around a little bit. Second gear now for Pab. Weight on the entry, there we go. Plenty of grip around the outside there. Yes. Up the hill now, 6th gear already into Abbey. This is the big stop.
Knowing the corners, I at least knew which direction to look in. I think you go around bridge at about 150 miles an hour, and it feels like it.
This is Bridge Corner. Oh yeah, lots of grip through there now.
I'd already said to him, if you don't fancy that last flying lap, and he just shouted out as we're heading down the pit straight, I'm okay for the last lap. So it was great, and then I gave him an extra special lap because he seemed very comfortable about it.
Wait for it. Oh, a lot of bit of oversteer there. No, it's flat out. Look at the pit board. There we go, bit of understeer still there.
Well, I would say we were about 95% there on the average lap. Obviously, down the straights I'm giving it everything that I've got, and I wanted to give Murray every sensation of speed that we could.
And into Hanger Straight. Car's running well.
Martin was absolutely fabulous. We did a lap, he's just told me, in about 8 or 9 seconds off a really hot lap in a single-seater Formula One car. And not for one split second did I feel anything other than totally relaxed and calm and confident in the man that was in front of me.
Out of club corner. Great acceleration.
let's remember, this gentleman's 75 years old, you know. I'm super impressed that he would even dream of going in it, let alone relish and look forward to the opportunity as he did. Overall, I think it worked out well, and I feel that he's got a full sense of what it's like to be in a Formula 1 car. And I think next time he sees some in-car footage, it will have a whole new meaning for him.
Well, I can tell you this, if you ever think that life is dull and ordinary and that things are passing you by, you should try this, because it takes 20 years off your life. It's the most stimulating, exciting, rewarding, dramatic, innovating experience I have ever had in my life. Fabulous.
Amazing fella. Dull and ordinary. Murray ain't. What do you make of that, Sterling? Would you have fancied that ride?
I think that's fantastic. I really do. I think if anybody deserves it, he does. I'm thrilled he liked it that much, and I just like to hope that Dennis Jenkinson, who came with me in a real race in the SLR in the Mille Miglia, enjoyed it like that, because it's to see somebody who is obviously so exhilarated the way we can get. Now, you know what it feels like for us, and he can say it better than I can. It is amazing.
Okay, Sterling, thank you very much indeed. Well, as we've been saying, Silverstone staged the first post-war Grand Prix 50 years ago. Murray was there. He's seen every British Grand Prix since, and a lot more.
Well, hello and welcome to the Frozen South. And let me say straight away that I'm Murray Walker.
It's over the line together, and it's almost a dead heat. It's Jackie Stewart, Rich, Beltoise and McLaren. Prost now on his way to his 6th Grand Prix victory. There goes Prost, off. The Brazilian and the Colombian driver, I couldn't help it, says, and take that. Oh my goodness. And if Prost comes up to any of them, this is the opportunity that Senna's looking for, and he's going through. Ouch! Oh my goodness, this is fantastic! And that means to say that Prost has won the World Championship. Senna is trying to go through on the inside, and it's happened immediately. This is amazing. Senna goes off at the first corner.
Hunt is on his way to 3rd place and World Championship victory. There he goes, James Hunt, holding the flag up for Britain.
Senna is up to 3rd.
And after being grounded at the start, a quite brilliant couple of corners by Ayrton Senna.
Bernie, it's some 17 years since you bought McLaren. You've had some good times and you've had some bad times. What do you remember best?
I don't remember buying McLaren.
He may have been prepared to move over. And look at that! Out that, and colossally, that's Mansell! That is Nigel Mansell!
Nigel, first of all, will you carefully and slowly take your hat off? You've got an enormous bump on your head. Can you let them see it?
I don't know there.
Right up there. Oh, I'm sorry.
He's up to the last corner now. You are about to see Nigel Mansell become world champion of 1992.
Motorsport in general has been so lucky to have Murray Walker, not only as a human being but as a commentator, but puts such zest, such life, such enthusiasm. I mean, he lives, breathes, eats and sleeps it, and he's a consummate professional.
And Damon Hill exits the chicane and wins the Japanese Grand Prix. And I've got to stop because I've got a lump in my throat.
Damon Hill, world champion. What about that?
It's just so fantastic. I can't tell you, Murray. I was driving along and I could hear you in my head. I was...
It's go! And Damon Hill leads it into
I forgot what I was supposed to be saying.
Down into 3rd, 4th position goes Damon Hill, and wow, that's one of the Jordans. It's Martin Brundle and miracle of miracles.
This is where Martin and I do our best work, or at least hopefully our best work. It is incredibly difficult, isn't it?
Well, it's not that difficult, Murray.
Frenson takes the lead, and Eddie Irvine goes across, and out goes one of the Saubers, and Villeneuve out of the race at the beginning. And you can see by the body language of the Benetton mechanics that they are absolutely furious. Oh, Jean, you may well look a bit worried. Well done, David. Yes, you've done it. You've done it.
Villeneuve is all over him, look. He's going through. Oh, yes.
Oh,
I don't think...
Out goes Michael Schumacher.
That didn't work. That didn't work, Michael. You hit the wrong part of him, my friend. Coulthard slowing down. Coulthard...
Yeah. And Hakkinen takes the lead. Now, that looked like a planned move to me, Martin. One of the McLarens is stuck at the bend, and off spins a Jordan, and Schumacher again. Coulthard slows down. Schumacher is ahead. Wow.
Well, Murray, here we are again, Silverstone. It's been 50 years. You've seen some highs and some lows.
You're right, Martin. I saw the first British Grand Prix, 48. I saw the Alfa Romeos here in 1950, the first World Championship race. And my best of all, Nigel Mansell winning in 1987. Hope it's as good today.
Well, Murray actually thinks we're here for another one of our dodgy links, but actually, we've got Damon Hill here with a nice painting for you, Murray, to commemorate your 50 years of talking to everybody.
That is, I once really am almost lost for words. You've done it again, haven't you? This is your life replayed. Damon, you're a star. Thank you for giving it to me.
Well, Murray, I mean, it's an honour for me to be the one sort of chosen to present you with this, and I think the face says it all, doesn't it, really? And congratulations. Keep talking.
Thank you. And good luck today, Damon. We want to see you do it.
And back to you in the studio.
Well done, Martin. Our thanks to Damon Hill for getting involved in that as well. He's some guy, isn't he, Tony?
It's his energy. Sterling Moss and I were talking
Leaves
about
us
the
flagging.
incredible energy of the bloke. It's absolutely amazing. And his sense of humour, it's so razor sharp. I mean, I worked with him years and years ago in Macau, sort of lap charging for him on this little commentary box, South China Sea beside us. No one there. We didn't know who the producers were, but they couldn't say Murray. All they could say was Walker. Suddenly they said to talk Walker. And he was laughing. He was laughing for the first 5 minutes. He was meant to be commentating.
Yeah. Sterling, he's the king round this place, isn't he, Murray?
I think he's fantastic. I really do. He's given so much to our sport, because watching a race without Murray making his mistakes and being put right by Martin and so on, it wouldn't be the same thing. He is fantastic.
He is Mr. Formula One. OK, now back to today's Grand Prix. 4 British drivers up there in the top 9. Eddie Irvine in his Ferrari in 5th place, heading for the podium once again. His main job is to support Michael Schumacher, but 1998 has been by far the best season in Formula One for Eddie.
Eddie Irvine coming home for the final podium position. This is for position. They're going to touch. They're both out of the race. Eddie's going so slowly around there. Did he have a problem?
Yes, he's
oh,
done
wow,
it.
that was
Eddie
close, wasn't
Irvine finishes second.
Five podium finishes this season bring Eddie Irvine's career total to 12, but he's never stood on the top step of the rostrum. So does he have what it takes to be a winner and ultimately a team leader?
Oh, I have. There's no doubt about that. You know, there's no one in the pit lanes better than me except for Michael. I've no doubts about that at all. But the issue, you know, it's like if I go to another team, okay, I'm a big fish, but I'm in a smaller pond. You know, what are you better being? A small fish at Ferrari or a big fish at some other small team where, you know, you finish 8th, but you beat your teammate? You know, it's a difficult one. You know, you look at, you know, Villeneuve last year was the world champion. This year he finishes 4th at Magny-Cours. I finished 2nd and I'm in number 2. So it's not that straightforward. It's a very difficult, complex decision to make, and I really don't want to make a mistake.
How do you see the driver market panning out for everybody next year?
I don't think there's going to be so much movement. You know, there's a couple of guys who are going to move, or there's a couple of potential movers. You know, I'm free to move, Villeneuve's free to move. You know, Michael ain't moving, so that sort of slows things down. You know, if Michael doesn't move, then the McLaren guys aren't moving. But so it's really me, Villeneuve, and that would really be about it. I think Frenson's going to move because he has to.
So which team do you want to drive for?
You know, that's between me and the gate post.
You're not going to tell, but I mean, are you likely to be moving next year, or?
Well, that would be between me and the gate post as well.
We'll have to have a chat with that gate post. But as he's saying there, the merry-go-round is sort of picking up pace. Michael Schumacher looks as though he's staying where he is at Ferrari. Make your mind up time for the world champion Jacques Villeneuve at Williams. Tony, sort it out for us.
Well, it's the silly season. They all start talking really about this time of year. So we just had a bit of fun and tried to show you where they're going through some graphics. Michael Schumacher has the pick of the seats, but it looks like the superstar is set to stay at Ferrari for another 2 years with an extra $7 million in his pay packet. If he does, that will bring a huge sigh of relief from the McLaren boys, who should then stay put. Irvine is wondering, should I stay or should I go? However, at Williams it could be all change. Strong rumour has Villeneuve off to his chum Craig Pollock's new BAR team with a reputed shareholding as bait. Heinz Harold is for the chop. Naturally, one driver has to be experienced, so Johnny Herbert is talking to Williams because it's reported Sauber are not happy with him, and Alesi also wants to move, contract permitting. But the test driver Juan Pablo Montoya would fill the other seat. And more intrigue, Indy star Alex Zanardi is said to be high on Williams' shopping list. But he's also on Craig Pollock's wish list for his new BAR team alongside Villeneuve. Pollock says he's also talking to Damon Hill as well. Rumours persist that a new all-Honda team will be announced and the Japanese like Alesi, but of course Tyrrell's Tiger Takagi would definitely start in that lineup. Ralf Schumacher's poor Jordan season has meant manager Willy Weber is looking elsewhere, reportedly Sauber. Panis may come in here, but Hill has a performance-related contract at Jordan. If they don't perform, he can opt out. He has offers, but come on, Frank Williams, how about a reconciliation? Heinz-Harald Frentzen wasn't a good idea. You took Nigel Mansell back.
Damon Hill back at Williams. Sterling, he can't be serious, can he?
I wouldn't have thought so. But the one I think...
some thought.
Well, the person that I think who would be crazy to move is Eddie Irvine. I mean, I think being number 2 to the best driver in the world, what he is fantastic. I mean, I did it with Fangio, and I can assure you, no way could I have been dragged away if I had the option to stay with him. Because you learn a lot, he's a fantastic person. I think Eddie Irvine is doing a jolly good job. I think if he goes to another one, he's not going to beat up Michael Schumacher, let's face it, because nobody is. So what's he going to do? Not nearly as well as he's doing there, that's for sure. I don't know about finance, but my gosh, they all get a fortune anyway.
I don't think he's strapped for the odd shilling, is he? I don't think so. Well, Eddie Irvine and all those drivers, they rely on teamwork, really. Unsung and unknown heroes working long, long hours to get their man into the best possible shape for every race from the word go. And that's what you call a pit stop, isn't it? There we are. Okay, our thanks to our friends from Australia for providing us with that little light-hearted minute there. Okay, back to more serious stuff. You might remember after Michael Schumacher's transgressions at Jerez, he was ordered by the European Commission to help improve safety standards, help improve driving standards. And here at Silverstone, Martin Brundle and David Coulthard have been looking at that at first hand. Here's Louise Goodman.
The Safety Roadshow came to Silverstone this week. FIA President Max Mosley, a strong advocate of safety issues, persuaded David Coulthard and Martin Brundle to demonstrate the importance of seatbelts to a captive audience. Safety is paramount to a Grand Prix driver travelling at 180 miles an hour, but as David Coulthard found out, even a low-speed impact can be dangerous.
It was surprising how big a jolt it is. You know, I didn't realise there was such a problem with people not wearing seatbelts, but clearly if that's the sort of jolt you get at 8 miles an hour, then it's a good reminder to us to wear those.
We're running this campaign, try and get more people to put seatbelts on. Not so much in the UK, because most people do already here, though there's still a lot of people in the back seats of cars ought to put them on, but more Southern Europe, young people, and we've been very successful, because if you get older people saying you should put the seatbelt on, nobody takes much notice. But when you've got the Schumachers, the Coulthards, the Sainzes, and people like Alan McNish, then they take some notice.
Sterling, what are your thoughts about safety in Formula One these days? Are they a bit cosseted, this modern lot?
I think it brings a contempt of danger. I think we've seen some of the world's finest drivers drive like in a terrible fashion. I mean, Ayrton Senna and Prost crashing. I mean, on purpose. They wouldn't do that if it was dangerous. I think the safety we want, you can't obviously say it should be, well, I feel it should be more dangerous just to make the drivers pay attention to what they're doing. But you can't really sort of say, well, let's make it more dangerous because we want people hurt. We don't want people hurt. But I think we do want to do away with this reckless driving, this stupid sort of thing they're doing. The ethics have gone.
How about that piece we saw beforehand? I mean, our motor racing drivers cosseted?
Oh, I thought it was fantastic. Well, that was now, my day was a bit more like that, but not the same. No, but you know what I think safety seriously obviously has to be considered, but I do wish there was some way of getting over this driver attitude of contempt of, you know, well, what happens if I go into it with 180 miles an hour? I mean, that's terrible.
Right.
Really.
Okay, Sterling, thank you very much. Right, now let's talk to the odds-on championship favourite, shall we? Mika Hakkinen. He dominated qualifying. Last year, you might remember, he was all set to win the British Grand Prix. He was poised to win it, and his McLaren went with half a dozen laps to go. Better this time for him, though, I'm sure.
That's Hakkinen. That is Mika Hakkinen, and the McLaren Mercedes retires from the British Grand Prix in the lead. And my goodness, this is going to be a most appalling disappointment for Mika Hakkinen.
I remember that extremely well, and there was disappointment, and same time was happiness there too, because this disappointment came from there because we did not win, and we had a mechanical failure. The happiness came from there because we know we are capable to win, and we were progressing all the time. And we were fast. So, you know, it was mixed feelings.
As a racing driver, you grew up here in Britain. What would it mean to you to win the British Grand Prix this afternoon?
It means to me a lot, but I think it means more for the mechanics and for the team, because this is a British team. It's a lot of pressure in these guys, you know. They're working extremely hard. They had their families, and maybe on the paddock, maybe in the grandstands. And it's very difficult for them. So I found extra motivation to give them a best. So I want to win, and I want to give them a win and victory.
There's just 6 points between you and Michael Schumacher in the championship. He's talking very brave at the moment. You're talking very brave at the moment. This could be a classic British Grand Prix, I think.
Well, talking is always talking. You know, the results are a different story. So I let the results to talk. And if you look at the difference for Ferrari, it's nearly half a second. And we all understand half a second in a racing terms is like a light year, you know, it's an enormous difference. So I feel extremely confident. So, you know, they just have to try harder, you know, because we're trying even harder.
Okay, he's very confident. Sterling, before you leave us, is it going to be Hakkinen winning his first British Grand Prix today?
I wouldn't have come here if I'd known. I can tell you if I'd known the answer. I think it's going to be a fantastic race. I think if Michael gets the start, I reckon he's going to take some catching. If Mika gets the start, it'll be interesting how he goes through the back markers. I feel that Michael may do it because of his enormous talent.
But all on that start in, what, just over 20 minutes' time?
Yes, exactly.
I know you've got to go. We appreciate you joining us today. Thanks very much indeed. OK, so the start of the RAC British Grand Prix is just over 20 minutes' time. One or two of them trying out the circuit. It is dry. It has been dry for around about half an hour or so, but the weather remains very threatening. Rejoin us in a couple of minutes' time. You are back with us at Silverstone. A lot of wind around here, but no rain at the moment. It's drying up a bit, and a lot of support, of course, for Damon Hill, one or two of the McLarens, and everybody else just testing out the circuit. Let's go straight down there for an expert's view. See what things are going to be like this afternoon. Martin Brundle's on the grid with two very fast people. On you go, Martin.
Well, exactly. Well, hello, race fans, as they say, stateside. But this is very much England and Silverstone, and this is a driver's nightmare. What tyres are you going to start the race with? It's not raining, so there's no point putting full wets on. A transient situation when it's drying or getting wetter for intermediates is usually a small window. And I used to hate this situation to have to take a decision because it's a bit of a gamble. Let me see if I can pick up David Coulthard here. DC, difficulty in qualifying, probably a bit of an engine situation, I believe.
Yeah, no, we did find a problem, which you know, would certainly hold me back a little bit. And you know, we ran a different strategy to Mika first time this year. We ran a different tyre and slightly different wing setup. So, combination of factors worked against me.
Fastest on Friday, fastest in the warm-up this morning. You must be feeling pretty confident.
Yeah, it would have been better for me if it was wet everywhere around the track, but as you can see, it's a drying line and I'm on the wet side for the start, so we just need to try and make the best of it and then just see what happens in the race.
Well, at least you're on the inside if they all go sailing into the first corner too fast. What tyres do you think you're going to start on?
I think given it's a crossover, we're going to have to go for something reasonably hard because, as you know, with the groove tyre this year, it's much later crossing over onto the groove tyre than it used to be with the slicks.
So taking a big flyer on slicks is not in the equation today?
No, as you know, if you look down, it's not an option at the moment.
Good luck. See you later. There's another man I wanted to see. Squadron leader Andy Green, the world land speed record holder, and he's here with us today. Fastest man in the world. Presumably you didn't have any problem with the traffic getting in this morning.
Very lucky it came by helicopter. It's the only way to arrive.
Well, that's true. You're used to flying, of course. What are you looking for here on the grid? What turns you on about Formula One?
Well, it's the atmosphere here at Silverstone for the whole weekend's absolutely superb. I mean, you know, the tens of thousands of people come to watch this. It's at the end of the day, the problem is, of course, you know, small, slow cars going round and round in circles, and they all take life much too seriously. So I don't know, the Formula One guys have got to smile a bit more and enjoy themselves, but the atmosphere is fantastic.
Yeah, it's true. They are at work, of course. Have you got a particular favourite?
Well, there's a young lady standing behind you called Sam, who is David Coulthard's greatest fan, and I've got to say that I'm with her. We hope David wins today.
Oh, that's excellent. So generally, you've got a respect for these guys. They're only doing a couple of 100 miles an hour, but at least it's round corners, I guess.
Absolutely. They work very, very hard. I've got a great deal of respect for them. I'm really looking forward to today's race.
Well, thanks for taking time out to talk to us. Hey, Keith, I always have to decide who we're talking to. You choose somebody. Right, go on. Where? Where? This lady over here? OK. You sure? Since we did Elizabeth Hurley on the start line in Monaco, Keith's had an awful problem with his Zoom control. I can tell you. Hello. Do you speak English?
I do, yes.
OK, good. Keith has chosen you for a live interview on the grid. No panic. There's only probably 10 or 12 million people watching, so relax. You're here in front of Eddie Irvine's car. Do you expect to see him and have a word with him?
I'd really hope to, but I don't think there's much chance of that.
I'm going to talk to him. I always used to speak to my grid girls before the start of a race. He should at least come and thank you for standing it. Now, it's a lot of glamour, but it's a bit of a chilly day for this, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very unfortunate, but it hasn't spoilt the day.
But now you're holding his board. Will you be watching him in the race? Is he your tip to win the race?
Yes, of course I will, yes.
What do you think? Somebody like Jacques Villeneuve, he's a pretty cool guy, purple hair. How does that appeal to you girls?
I think it's great because each time we see him, we don't know which colour his hair is going to be next.
Yeah, but if you took him out to dinner, he'd clash with your overalls a bit, wouldn't he?
Yes, I think we'd have to sort of arrange something prior to that to make sure we colour coordinated. So.
OK, well, I hope you have a fun day. And back to you in the studio.
Keep enjoying yourself down there, Martin. Strong journalistic bent to all his interviews, isn't it? Tony, what do you think? You've been with Damon Hill, haven't you? I mean, we spoke to David Coulthard down there earlier. You spent a lot of time with Damon. He's got all these fans around. He's done nothing this season. Can he do something here?
It was interesting because I was allowed into his sort of final warm-up. The masseur was having a go at him and he was chatting merrily away. First of all, was the preparations to his helmet. If it is wet, that was intriguing because he was getting just little layers of sponge just underneath the visor just to get enough air going into the front of that special sort of demister going inside of that. He's basically saying that he's quietly confident. He's happy with the improvements that Honda have made, and he admitted to me that he has been G'ing them up, using the press to G them up a bit to get a better performance out of them. But one of the problems I have got, if the rain really comes back down, there's a new Quattro wet from Goodyear, but it's been built around for Michael Schumacher and selected by Michael Schumacher. And Damon said, for us, it ain't working. If it's really wet, we've got a problem. That's what happened in the warm-up this morning. The Goodyear runners were all way down, and the two McLarens were at the top on the Bridgestone, so we've got to watch for that.
Okay, well, the Ferrari have won the last couple of races with Michael Schumacher, ably supported by Eddie Irvine, the Irishman, up there on the podium for just about every race this season. And he's now there talking to James.
Yeah, it's coming to Eddie Irvine in a second, who's in fact moving his tyre warmers here, as you can see. He wants to generate heat. Look down here, you see? See how wet this track is at the moment? Eddie knows that he needs to get that track dry. So he himself has been moving this thing around, generating the heat down here. Now just come and look at this. That's what you call a dry setup. The teams believe it's not going to rain again today. They've not added extra wing, brought the wing up, which would push the car down to the track. Most cars are going to start on the intermediate tyres, but the key question here, it's a two-stop race. Key question here is when do you stop first? Because it's a very narrow window. These intermediate tyres will start getting very hot. Let's have a quick word with Eddie. He's just round here. Eddie, fantastic effort in qualifying yesterday. In the race today, I can see you trying to dry your line off for the start.
No.
What are you doing then?
The front of the car's a bit cold.
Oh, of course it is. Of course it is. Now, most teams think it's not going to rain again today. Obviously, you were hoping that it wouldn't rain because the good years seem to be pretty dreadful around here this morning relative to the Bridgestones.
The Bridgestone had an advantage, but the Goodyear wasn't bad. You know, the car felt very good on him. Felt a lot of grip. Just obviously the Bridgestone seemed to have a bit more, but it's going to be an interesting race, I think, whatever happens.
It certainly is. Are you going to play your team role again? You're well up on the grid. You're in a position to play Michael Schumacher's shotgun.
No, I just want to get, I want to get up the front, and then we see what happens.
A few of us have got a few quid on you to win your first race today, Eddie. Good luck.
Yes, good luck. Good luck to Eddie Irvine. Of course, a lot of supporters over from Ireland in particular supporting Eddie. No thumbs down from him, I don't think. He's having a very good season, isn't he, Eddie?
He's having an excellent season, and I suppose Sterling says perhaps he will stay with Ferrari, but one thing is very clear. He's part of this huge Ferrari challenge and machine that's going for the championship, and there's this psychological war going on. And it was great watching him sitting alongside Ron Dennis in the press conference the other day. There's another Irishman there. That's Eddie Jordan, and of course the factory is just over the road. This is their home match. The factory is right there at the gates of Silverstone. Now, they are desperate for points today. I've seen all their sponsors this morning saying, please, if we just have 1 point. Damon got 1 point here last year, and it was as good as winning the World Championship, I reckon. This place erupted. It was fantastic.
And of course, they haven't been helped with Ralf Schumacher being relegated to the back row.
Well, what happens, apparently, he took Damon's spare car during the qualifying, and you don't have time to check these things, but what you have to do with the FIA, you have to be able to get your knees out past the steering wheel when you're getting out of the car in a hurry, and they test that within the seconds that you've got. He couldn't get his knees past the steering wheel, nor could Panis, and they were thrown to the back of the grid. The times were disallowed.
Right, we can hear from him now. Ralf Schumacher with Louise Goodman.
Thanks very much, Jim. Ralph, we've just been hearing about the problem you had yesterday, not being able to get your knees up from behind the bulkhead. How do you feel when that kind of thing happens? You put all the effort in and then you're right at the back of the grid.
Well, I mean, to be honest, that's the way the regulation are. I mean, honestly, can't understand the sense in saying a car is illegal if that's not possible, and then you know, cancel the whole qualifying. You know, it's not a game, Formula One, and we all invest a lot of money. And it was still quite a promising position to cancel that one just because of such a little incident. Is a bit strange, but anyway, that's the way it was for Olivier Panis as well. So similar for all of us, but it's a shame.
What can you do from here? Do you have to just run around and wait for people to fall off?
Well, I mean, I hope that I'm able to do a good start and overtaking a few. You know, we will see what happens. I mean, with a bit of luck, maybe it's going to be a good race. You never know.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, if the grid's going to be turned upside down, he will have a chance. But Sterling, before he left us, was talking about the importance of the start. Tony, just remembering the French Grand Prix at Manicourt a couple of weeks ago, Michael Schumacher got a jump on them and they never caught him.
Very important indeed, and there was the lights going out there. A great start from the inside. Look at the two McLarens as they got swamped. Eddie Irvine even got past the two McLarens there as he went through the Grand Courbe, and Schumacher got into the lead. Schumacher was explaining that he just got everything right, he just coordinated it right, he got the right amount of grip. But they won't get grip like that today because it's a damp track. So those people that don't get the throttle mechanism just right, it's all done by the hand this time and on the little buttons, too much wheel spin and you'll just be sitting on the grid there. And of course, they've moved now the start grid further towards the first corner at Copse. Could be mayhem down there, or they could all get through and we'll breathe a huge sigh of relief.
We're saying how popular Damon Hill is around this circuit. I know you did something with Michael Schumacher a couple of days ago, and perhaps surprisingly to a few people, they like Schumacher a lot as well.
Well, there was this huge crowd down beneath this balcony, and Schumacher came out with me, and I thought he was one of the sort of religious persons in Rome or something, because they just went berserk. This was all the Brits, klaxons going, Ferrari flags waving. You cannot underestimate, A, his popularity, and B, the popularity of Ferrari around the world. I asked the crowd, I said, what about this man's driving? He's a bit forceful from time to time. What do you think, sort of thing? Should there be a code of conduct? They went, no, yeah. And also, should he stay at Ferrari? They went, yes. So Schumacher said to me, I suppose I better stay there.
We've talked a fair bit about the conditions, about the rain, which has stayed away, certainly since we came on air. But the wind here could be a real factor as well. Just explain that, Tony.
Well, in testing last week, the wind was coming from a different direction. As Eddie Irvine said, it was coming onto the nose of the car, and that was making it quite pointy, and it affected the handling. And this week, it's blustering around, but it's coming from a totally different direction, so it's upsetting the back of the car, and the cars are tending to oversteer. The tail is coming out. But the way this is swirling today, I think it's going to come at them from all angles, and it will seriously affect the aerodynamic performance of the cars.
OK, Tony, thank you very much. It's shaking us about a bit in our studio, I can tell you that. Well, Ewan McGregor, train spotting and all that, he's here this weekend, and he's talking to Louise.
Ewan, welcome to Silverstone. Are you a race fan?
I'm a motor racing fan. I'm more into bike racing than this is my first Formula 1 Grand Prix, but I'm having a great time here.
What have you been doing so far?
Today, I've been hanging out with the Benson and Hedges Jordan team, and in their hospitality tent, which is where you'll always find me.
Have you had a chance to look around the garages? Are you interested in what's going on in the garages?
I was on my way to the garages at the moment, so I'm on my way to have a look. Yeah, I'm dying to get in there and see what it's like. I've hung out in paddocks and bike circuits, but not for cars, so it'll be interesting to see the difference.
Do you reckon it's going to be very different?
Oh, I'm sure. I mean, the scale of it, and I don't know. When you're talking about world superbikes, I mean, they're pretty tasty paddocks. But here, I mean, there's 4 wheels instead of 2s, and then there's much bigger wheels, and so there'll be more gear around, I'm sure.
Well, enjoy the cars.
Thank you very much.
I'm sure he will. Damon Hill, people power, trying to blow Damon Hill round this afternoon. Mika Hakkinen, odds-on favourite, and well, there's still a fair bit of rain around here, but a magnificent sight despite that. Above those red arrows, and everyone is inside Silverstone now. Nearly 100,000 people waiting for the start of the RAC British Grand Prix. Wonderful moments wherever you are. All you have to do is just settle back, make yourselves comfortable, and enjoy what should be an enthralling next couple of hours with us here on ITV.